So Minneapolis just ranked #3 in the entire country for best places to retire. So #3, right? So why am I making a video called 5 Reasons Not to Retire Here? And that kind of seems oxymoronic, to be frank, but here we go. Because that ranking is going to bring a wave of retirees to the market who are not prepared for what they're walking into. Some of them are going to love it, and some of them are going to be miserable. The difference between those two outcomes comes down to one thing, and it's whether you went in with the full picture or just the highlight reel of Minnesota. This isn't a hit piece on Minneapolis. It's genuinely one of the best cities in America. But the best city for a 35-year-old and the best city for a 65-year-old are not automatically the same place. We're going through all 5 reasons: weather, money, lifestyle, healthcare, and practical day-to-day life with real numbers, real stories, and real honesty. So stay through the end, because the 5th one, most people completely overlook, and it might be the most important of all. So let's go. So who is this for? Before we get into it, if you're searching right now for the best places to retire in Minnesota, comparing cost of living calculators, this video is made for you. You are at the most important financial decision of your life. You have earned the right to get this right. Reason number 1, weather here is not a vibe. It's a full-time job. I know what you're thinking. I know about the cold. Dealing with cold when you're commuting to a job is completely different from dealing with cold when cold is just your life. Most people who research a retirement move check home prices and pull up a weather app. What they don't research is what winter actually costs a retiree, physically, financially, and socially. So let's go through all 3 of those. So physically, it's the single biggest hazard for seniors in Minnesota is something called black ice. It's thin, nearly invisible coating that forms in sidewalks after a light snow or a freeze-thaw cycle, or we even can have some freezing rain too, so that can happen, or freezing fog. You don't see it until you're already on it. Falls on ice are one of the leading causes of seriously injured adults over 60. Life-altering injuries that can change the entire trajectory of your retirement and, frankly, your life. Then, a single March snowstorm dropped almost 10 inches overnight at the airport. That kind of rapid shift is exactly when black ice forms and exactly when people unfortunately get hurt. So financially, heating costs are real. In older or less efficient homes, a cold snap will produce a utility bill that makes you do a double take. So socially, and this one is pretty underrated, extreme cold produces isolation, because guess what? People don't really want to go outside. When it's below 0 and the roads are glazed over, you don't go out. You don't meet a friend for coffee. You don't drive to the gym. That isolation compounds fast for retirees, and loneliness is a genuine health risk. Minneapolis has mastered winter living better than almost any city in America. Heated parking is everywhere. The community spirit around winter is something people genuinely fall in love with. The summers here are pure paradise, but winter is real. Black ice is real. Heating costs are real. And physical risk as you age are also very real. So you have to go in knowing all of it. Keep that mobility piece in your head. It connects directly to something we're covering in the health section, so stick with me. So reason 2, the tax and cost picture is not retiree friendly. Minnesota's top income tax rate sits at 9.85%. That is one of the highest in the country. Now, most retirees are not hitting the top bracket, but the middle brackets here are still higher than most states people are comparing it to. When your income is fixed, coming in from Social Security, a pension, every percentage point matters. Here's the part that really gets people. Minnesota taxes Social Security income. A lot of states do not touch Social Security at all. Minnesota does, with conditions. For the current tax year, Social Security benefits are fully exempt from state tax for married couples making $180,320 or less. For single filers, that full exemption sits at $84,490. The moment your household income crosses those lines, the exemption phases out fast. Property taxes are the other number that you really need to know. City levies in Minneapolis are expected to rise close to 7% this year. On a median valued home, that works out to roughly $170 added to your annual tax bill. Year after year on a fixed income, that gets to be a real number, right? So here's the silver lining on buying right now, and it's a real one. The broader Minneapolis market is a buyer's market right now. Your negotiating power as a buyer is real, and you're getting more home for your money in a more stable market than most of the alternatives people are considering. Here's something that most retirement articles will not tell you about Minneapolis. The city does not just hand you its appeal. You have to go find that. Your first few months are going to feel like a mismatch, and a lot of people tap out before they get into the really good stuff. The Guthrie Theater is a world-class theater and offers reduced rates for seniors. The Minnesota Orchestra is consistently ranked among the best in the country. Minneapolis ranks in the top 10 nationally for things to do and cultural experiences. The restaurant scene here competes with cities twice its size. The metro has over 1,000 lakes, so you are never more than a short drive from water, a kayak rental, or a sunset on a dock. On the social side, here's the honest truth. Moving somewhere new in retirement means building fresh connections from scratch. That takes real effort and it takes real time. If you move into a 55-plus community, the structure does a lot of that work for you. Those communities are built around people in the same stages of life with shared interests. Retirees tell me all the time that they're making some of the best friendships of their lives in those settings. So one thing that genuinely surprises people when they hear it is that Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport was ranked the #1 mega airport in North America for traveler satisfaction last year. It is a major Delta hub with nonstop flights to about 165 destinations. If a February in Minneapolis makes you want to find somewhere warm for 2 weeks, getting out is genuinely easy and affordable from here. Now, let's talk about the factor that changes the math for a lot of people entirely. For retirees specifically, healthcare access is the single most important factor in where you choose to live, because everything else can be managed. But a medical crisis in a place with a weak healthcare system can end your retirement completely, right? On this metric, Minneapolis does not just compete. The entire state of Minnesota, frankly, dominates it. For the 8th straight year, the Mayo Clinic has been named #1 hospital in the entire world, and that's something to take note of if you're actually a retiree or if you're anybody that needs to deal with the healthcare system. So Minnesota's healthcare system overall is consistently ranked in the top 5 in the entire nation. The Mayo Clinic in Rochester is the #1 ranked hospital in the state, in the country, and for that matter, in the entire world. Abbott Northwestern Hospital in the Twin Cities ranks in the global top 100 for cardiac care and neurosurgery. M Health Fairview ranks among the top regional hospitals in the area. Here is where the complicated part comes in. You need to know this before you arrive. Several major Medicare insurers, including UCare, Humana, are scaling back or closing their healthcare plans in Minnesota heading into 2026. The good news is on prescriptions starting in 2025, there is a new yearly out-of-pocket cap on Medicare Part D prescription drug costs. The cap sits at $2,000 in 2025 and $2,100 in 2026. For retirees managing ongoing medications, that is a real and meaningful change to your annual healthcare budget. Here is the honest bottom line on healthcare. For a retiree who takes their long-term health seriously, there are very few places in the country where you are better positioned than in the Twin Cities Metro. That fact alone changes the entire tax conversation for a lot of people. Paying more in state taxes for access to the Mayo Clinic and Abbott Northwestern is a trade-off that many retirees look at and say it's completely worth it to them. Whether that trade-off works for you depends on your specific situation. So reason number 5, the practical day-to-day stuff nobody talks about, right? This is one that most retirement videos skip entirely. The practical day-to-day details of actually living here that don't show up in any ranking, but absolutely show up in your real life. Let's start with the one that's going to get some comments. Mosquitoes. They're as big as birds in some cases. No, all kidding aside, they're really not, but they can seem that way. So the summer of 2025 was a record year for West Nile virus in the Twin Cities. 42 reported cases, the highest ever recorded in the Twin Cities. Mosquitoes peaked at their highest levels since 2020 because of how wet the summer was. And if you're moving to Minneapolis specifically because you heard the summers are paradise, they are, but have a plan for your evenings outdoors. You know, really, the Twin Cities in general and Metropolitan Mosquito Control do an excellent job to keep the mosquitoes at bay. Allergy season in the spring and the fall is also here, and it hits harder than people expect. Now, let's talk about cars. Minneapolis is more car dependent than most people realize going in. If you're picturing yourself giving up the car and living a walkable, transit-powered retirement, the infrastructure, it's really not quite there yet. The good news is the Metro Green Line extension is currently in the final stage of safety testing. 14.5 miles of new light rail, and it's expected to start carrying passengers in 2027. That will meaningfully change mobility options for parts of the metro. But right now, for most retirees in most neighborhoods, a car, unfortunately, it's not optional. The upside on the traffic is real. Minneapolis commute times are genuinely manageable compared to cities like Austin or Atlanta. If you are spending more than 40 minutes driving anywhere in the Twin Cities, that is a location choice, not a traffic problem. Here's something that's definitely worth mentioning. Honestly, Minnesota does not market itself to retirees the way Florida does. You will not land here and find billboards for retirement communities at every highway exit. The full retirement ecosystem, the abundance of 55 plus communities, the senior activity centers, the organized infrastructure that exists in the Sun Belt markets is not replicated here at the same scale by any means. For the right retiree, however, that is actually an asset. You get a real, vibrant city with people of every age. The 55 plus communities that do exist here are of high quality and genuinely undercrowded. They tend to outperform the mass-produced developments you see in the Sunbelt markets. Sometimes being the best kept secret is exactly what makes something great. But if you need that full retirement ecosystem to feel settled, if you want the golf cart parade and the welcome committee and the daily bingo and the pool that is always 82 degrees, Minneapolis is going to feel like the wrong fit for you. Know yourself going in. So let's wrap this up. So here is where we land after all of that. So Minneapolis is ranked 3rd in the entire country for best places to retire heading into 2025. Not 5th, not 10th, 3rd. That's not just a fluke. On the things that genuinely drive quality of life, healthcare access, financial stability, nature, culture, infrastructure, this city quietly ranks at the very, very top. The retirees who move here and really lean in tend to say the same thing every time. They wish they had found it sooner. The ones who struggle are almost always the ones who underestimate one of the 5 things we just covered. Usually it's the winter mobility or the tax picture or social adjustment of building a new life in a city that does not hand it really to you, right? Here's my honest read after 24 years in this market. Minneapolis is not the right city for every retiree. It is absolutely the right city for retirees who go in prepared. It is for people who choose where they live intentionally, who do their financial homework before they commit, who are willing to engage with a city that gives back exactly as much as you're willing to put into it. The winter is real, the taxes are real, The need to build your own social life is also real. The healthcare system is world class. The summers are paradise. The cost of homes right now, with downtown West prices down nearly 10% year over year, means your buying power in the city of Minneapolis market is stronger than it has been in years. If you've been sitting on equity in a home somewhere and thinking about where to put down roots for the next chapter, this market deserves a serious look. Not because a ranking article told you to, but because you did the math, you understood the trade-offs, and you choose it with your eyes open. That is what thriving in retirement looks like. Not finding the perfect place, finding the right place for you, and going in prepared. If you're seriously thinking about retiring to the Twin Cities, and if you want a real conversation about which neighborhoods actually make sense for your lifestyle, your health needs, and your budget, reach out to us directly, or our contact is in the description. You can schedule a free call with my team using the link right below. We're not going to give you any silly pitch, no pressure. Just honest information from someone who has been in the market for a long time, that has seen what works, and frankly, has also seen what doesn't. Drop in the comments right now. Are you considering retiring in Minneapolis, or are you looking somewhere else in Minnesota? Tell me what is holding you back or what is pulling you in. We read every comment and we build future videos around exactly those questions. The next video I'm linking covers the full picture of living in Minneapolis year-round. Every season, every trade-off, the complete story. Watch that one, and you will have everything you need before you make any big decisions. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video and at the next house.